Okay, this is the Paraphrasing Synonym Quiz C. You've already done Quiz A and Quiz B, so you already know that this is working on your ability to recognize paraphrasing and synonyms, and it's related to the IELTS listening exam. All the questions on the IELTS listening exam relate to paraphrasing and synonym. If you're having trouble getting answers correct, it's probably related to your hearing synonyms or recognizing paraphrasing when it happens. On fill the blank questions, they're using synonyms or paraphrasing for the words that are before and after the blank line. If you don't hear the synonym, you miss the answer choice. It's that easy. Hear the synonym and the answer choice is connected to it. For the multiple choice questions, they will say the keywords in the question using synonyms or paraphrasing, and then they will say the answer choice, and then your job is from the selection of A, B, and C to choose which one is a paraphrase for what they said. So paraphrasing is so important. If you want to get better at paraphrasing, you have to learn vocabulary. You have to learn vocabulary. And in this course, we have a section that provides all of the really great vocabulary that you need. All of our vocabulary is related to synonyms because that's really what you need to study, are synonyms. Okay, so let's go ahead and do quiz number C, or quiz letter C. In terms of the instructions, you need paper and pencil to create a table, a two-sided table. On the left, you have the question keywords. On the right, you write the synonyms and paraphrasing of those question keywords. The questions and answers, for the most part, go in order. I tried to design it that way so it goes in order because the exam goes in order. And then stopping and starting is perfectly fine because when you hear the paraphrase for question number one or the keywords in question number one, you may need time to write them down on your table. And so in this instance, you can stop and start. On the real exam, you cannot do that, everybody. As you know, we're not answering the questions. Please don't ask about where are the questions, where are they. That's not what this is about. Our focus is synonym and paraphrase recognition. So let's move into the next quiz. Quiz number 6. The purpose of this quiz is to test your ability to recognize synonym language and paraphrasing. We are not answering any questions. Your only job is to hear and write down the synonym or paraphrase of the question keywords. So for this one, the question keywords are his difficulty, discuss main topics, range of uses, used in one hand, consider omitting, provide an example, summarize, lacked conclusion, not enough, sometimes distracting, and not too technical. So you're listening for the paraphrasing or synonym for these question keywords. So if you need time and you want to write these on the left side of your table, go ahead and stop the lecture right now, stop the quiz right now and write down those keywords. You don't have to, but on the right side, you're going to write down the paraphrasing and the synonyms that you hear for those question keywords. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start the audio.
Come in, Russ.
Thank you.
Now, you wanted to consult me about your class presentation on nanotechnology. You were due to give it next week, aren't you?
That's right, and I'm really struggling. I chose the topic because I didn't know much about it and wanted to learn more, but now I've read so much about it, in a way there's too much to say. I could talk for much longer than the 20 minutes I've been allocated. Should I assume the other students don't know much and give them a kind of general introduction? Or should I try and make them share my fascination with a particular aspect?
You could do either, but you'll need to have it clear in your own mind.
Then I think I'll give an overview.
Okay. Now, one way of approaching this is to work through developments in chronological order. On the other hand, you could talk about the numerous ways that nanotechnology is being applied.
You mean things like thin films on camera displays to make them water repellent and additives to make motorcycle helmets stronger and lighter?
Exactly. Or another way would be to focus on its impact in one particular area, say medicine or space exploration.
That would make it easier to focus. Perhaps I should do that.
I think that would be a good idea.
Right. How important is it to include slides in the presentation?
They aren't essential by any means, and there's a danger of tailoring what you say to fit whatever slides you can find. While it can be good to include slides, you could end up spending too long looking for suitable ones. You might find it better to leave them out.
I see. Another thing I was wondering about was how to start. I know presentations often begin with, first I'm going to talk about this, and then I'll talk about that. But I thought about asking the audience what they know about nanotechnology.
That would be fine if you had an hour or two for the presentation, but you might find that you can't do anything with the answers you get, and it simply eats into the short time that's available.
So maybe I should mention a particular way that nanotechnology is used to focus people's attention.
That sounds sensible.
What do you think I should do next? I really have to plan the presentation today and tomorrow.
Well, initially, I think you should ignore all the notes you've made, take a small piece of paper and write a single short sentence that ties together the whole presentation. It can be something as simple as, nanotechnology is already improving our lives. Then start planning the content around that. You can always modify that sentence later if you need to.
Okay.
Okay, now let's think about actually giving the presentation. You've only given one before, if I remember correctly, about an experiment you'd been involved in.
That's right. It was pretty rubbish.
Let's say it was better in some respects than in others. With regard to the structure, I felt that you ended rather abruptly, without rounding it off. Be careful not to do that in next week's presentation.
Okay.
And you made very little eye contact with the audience because you were looking down at your notes most of the time. You need to be looking at the audience and only occasionally glancing at your notes. Your body language was a little odd. Every time you showed a slide, you turned your back on the audience so you could look at it. You should have been looking at your laptop. And you kept scratching your head, so I found myself wondering when you were next going to do that, instead of listening to what you were saying.
Oh dear. What did you think of the language? I knew that not everyone was familiar with the subject, so I tried to make it as simple as I could.
Yes, that came across. You used a few words that are specific to the field, but you always explained what they meant, so the audience wouldn't have had any difficulty understanding. I must say, the handouts you prepared were well thought out. They were a good summary of your presentation, which people would have been able to refer to later on. So well done on that.
Thank you.
Well, I hope that helps you with next week's presentation.
Yes, it will. Thanks a lot.
I'll look forward to seeing a big improvement then.
All right, let's take a look at the answer choices. So when he said his difficulty, the audio paraphrasing was really struggling. Discuss main topics, give a general overview, range of uses. The audio paraphrasing is numerous ways applied, used in one field. The audio similar language is focus one particular area. Consider omitting, might find better to leave out. Provide an example, mention a particular way used. Summarize, ties together the whole presentation. Lacked conclusion, ended abruptly. Not enough, you made very little. Sometimes distracting, just when they talked about odd body language, you could have had that in there. Turned back, scratched head. What to do next. Not too technical, the audience wouldn't have difficulty understanding. So when you're doing, this one is actually from a section 3 part. When you're doing those sections, you have to be able to hear this paraphrasing. And then you have to be able to find the match, right? So you have to be able to do that. If you're not able to do that, it's a big, big problem in terms of finding the answer choices. You have to hear the audio paraphrasing and synonym language. This is what I'm trying to help you get better at doing to improve your ear. Because on those multiple choice questions, that's what's happening. They're speaking in the conversation. Your first job is to hear the question keywords, and they may be paraphrasing or using synonyms for the question keywords. Whatever the answer choice is connected to those question keywords. So they either said the answer right before those question keywords or more likely right after those question keywords. Then your job is to be able to quickly find the paraphrase of what they said. Your job is not to listen for which answer has words that I hear. That's not an English test. That's going against the spirit of the entire exam when you're doing that, because you're not testing somebody's listening ability to hear the same word. A basic level student can do that. So listening for paraphrasing is extremely important on those Section 3 and Section 4 questions. And I hope this quiz has helped you get a little bit better and really helped you understand about what you need to work on. Let's move into the next quiz. Here is quiz number 7. The purpose of this quiz is to test your ability to recognize synonym language and paraphrasing. We are not answering any questions. Your only job is to hear and write down the synonym paraphrase of the question keyword. All right, so here we only have 4 questions. And the question keyword for number 1, people going back to college. Number 2, 2 days. Number 3, clarity. And number 4, you're listening for a paraphrase or synonym for encourage interest in learning. So let's play the audio. Good luck. And write down that paraphrasing and synonym on the right side of your table.
Hello, I'm Dawn Matthews.
Yes, hello. I've been referred to you because I'm inquiring about the refresher courses that you run. I'd like to find out a bit more about them.
OK. Well, we run quite a few different short courses for students who are either returning to study or studying part-time. Tell me about your situation.
Well, I think that I really need some help in preparing for the coming semester, especially to build up my confidence a bit and help me study effectively because, you see, I've been out in the workforce for nearly 12 years now, so it really is a long time since I was last a student.
Yes, it can seem like a long time, can't it? Well, let me start by telling you what courses we have that might suit you. Are you an undergraduate or a postgraduate? Arts or sciences?
Undergraduate, and I'm in the business faculty.
Right then. Well, first of all, there's our intensive Study for Success seminar on the 1st and 2nd of February.
Mm-hmm.
It's aimed at students like you who are uncertain about what to expect at college and looks at a fairly wide range of approaches to university learning to motivate you to begin your study and build on your own learning strategies.
That sounds good. What are some of the strategies that are presented?
Well, we try to cover all aspects of study. Some of the strategies in writing, for example, would be improving your planning for writing, organising your thinking, and building some techniques to help you write more clearly. With reading, there'll be sessions aimed at getting into the habit of analysing material as you read it, and tips to help you record and remember what you've read. It really is very important to begin reading confidently right from the beginning. There's also advice on how to get the most from your lectures and practice in giving confident presentations, as well as how to prepare for exams.
What about the motivational side of things?
Well, there's a range of motivational exercises that we do to help the students feel positive and enthusiastic about their study. The process of learning and exploring a subject can lead to a whole new way of looking at the world, And the study skills and techniques that you build up can be applied in all sorts of different ways.
Okay, let's take a look at the answer choices. For number 1, people going back to college, the audio paraphrasing, been a long time since I was last a student. Number 2, 2 days, the audio similar language was 1st and 2nd of February. Number 3, clarity, planning, organizing, thinking. Number 4, encourage interest in learning, feel positive and enthusiastic about study. So that is the paraphrasing that you should have heard that related to the question keywords. Thank you so much for doing these quizzes. I really hope they have added to your ability to do much better on the IELTS listening section. Remember, you can create your own quizzes. You can create your own. And in fact, it's better to do it with practice tests that you've already done before, because you've already identified the answer choices. And now what you're doing is going through those questions and pulling out the keywords from the questions and the answer selections. And your job is to just listen for synonyms. Listen and write down synonyms. Keep practicing that on your own, and you're working on that skill. Then on the real exam, you're going to do great. All right? So take care, have a great day, and I'll talk to you in the next lecture.